Hey everyone, it's Merja here. Thank you for joining me on this live Q&A session this morning. Well, it's morning here in Australia. It might be evening for you wherever you are. Good to be here with you today. For those of you who don't know me, I am Merja Sumiloff. I'm the Personality Decoder, and I show my clients and people who come to me how to heal and grow your relationships without massive disruptions into your day-to-day life. So today's question is from HC, and thank you so much for this amazing question. We've had a lot of questions in the last while, and I'm happy to finally be in a position to jump on one of these live Facebook Lives. So it's good to be here with you today. So today's question is just incredible. And the question was, should we pair with someone who's similar to our type, the type that we are, or the polar opposite? And that's a very good question. And that is certainly a question that people ask a lot. If not directly, they might wonder about it. Oh, I wonder if I should be with somebody who's similar to me, or should I be with somebody who's different to me? And most of us do fall into this trap of thinking that a type has a massive impact or is a massive indicator of the compatibility in relationships. And while there are benefits to being similarly wired, for sure, 100%, there are also differences that can bring a lot of benefits to ourselves as people and our relationships as an entity. So full disclosure, I'm an INFJ myself, and I'm in a relationship with an INFP. And some of you already know that, and some of you already know my partner. But I'm not with my partner because we're both introverted intuitive feelers. That's not why I'm with this person. I'm with this particular person because they see me as who I am. They see the person that I am. We share very similar, if not the same, values. And our level of commitment to our relationship and our personal growth is very similar. There's a match there. So today we're looking at the benefits of being in a relationship with somebody who's similar to us, and the challenges of being with somebody who's similar to us, as well as benefits and challenges to being with somebody who's different to us. And finally, I'll mention how I can help you if you want to work on this more. So there are certain benefits to being with people who are similar to yourself. And some, I think, if not the main benefit, is a sense of resonance. We have when we meet a person who's very similar to us, there's a natural sense of resonance that kind of catches us off guard and makes us feel at ease at once or straight away. We feel like, oh, I've known this person for a long time, even though you've just met them. And that's certainly a benefit that you have with just being with a person who's similar to yourself in type. There are also, just beyond the 4-letter code, INFJ, INFP, for example, we share a lot of similarities in how we show up in the world. I've written, even though the cognitive functionalities are different, how life shows up for us is very similar. I've written courses for INFJs and INFPs specifically as a combined group of people because the life experiences are similar. Now, the 4-letter code, obviously, if you're both introverted or if you're both extroverted or if you're both intuitives or sensors, that already gives that sense of resonance that a lot of us can feel we need in order to feel like we really belong. Now, there are challenges to being similar as well. So it's not just fun and games. And one of the main things I think that happens when we are similar to the people that we are with is that we assume a lot. So we forget that the person in front of us is a person. And because there's a sense of ease or sense of resonance that is there naturally, we assume that we also share the same values or the same ways that we want to operate. And of course, everybody is a completely different person. So it's not so much that we, the resonance immediately shows us that we're the same. not at all. It becomes this, our experiences, our past experiences, our personal experiences shape our life more, and how we see those experiences is more dependent on how we're wired. So whilst the experience might be similar and you might have similarities in experiences, the actual nitty-gritty, the details of those experiences can be very different. So it's very easy to just think that we know and forget to ask questions. So that's a challenge with being with somebody who's similar. Another challenge is that we can get stuck in our cognitive biases and shut out the world that embraces different ways than how we are. So that can stop our personal growth, and it can certainly stop our professional growth and our growth out there in the world. So when we only hang out with people who are similar to us, we lose out on a richness of life, a richness that life has to offer to us. And I want to be really clear here. So if you feel that your self-establishment, if you feel activated by what I've just said, that might mean that your self-establishment is not quite there yet, in which case you need to establish yourself. You need to be with people who embrace you and have that sense of belonging. So if you're in a healing phase of your own personal journey, you might feel like, well, I've been marginalized for all of my life for being exactly who I am, so I want to be with people who are like me. That's totally cool, and you should absolutely do that. So I'm not in any way suggesting that you should be different than how you are. You be exactly how you are, and that's perfect. So don't let anybody tell you what you should be. But today we're just talking about the differences, the similarities, or the benefits and challenges around the similarities and differences between types. So absolutely, take your journey the way that you need to take your journey, and don't let anybody else tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. Now, there are some benefits of being in relationships with people who are different than you are, different than I am. When we're in those relationships with people who are completely different, how we usually get attracted to those in the first place is very interesting. So it's very different to being attracted to people who are similar to us. With the similarity, there's a resonance. With the difference, we get attracted to the kind of the wonder of that person. Who is that person? Why do they operate that way? And it gives us that sense of wonder and sense of, oh, I need to know more about this person. So that can be very attractive to us at different stages of life as well. And what happens is, if we get involved with people who are different to ourselves, it opens us up to a whole new way of seeing life. For me personally, like being an outward feeler, being with an inward feeler has really taught me how to embrace my own authenticity and not just be out there meeting other people's needs, but actually prioritizing my own needs. It's given me a permission to do that, and it's just been absolutely life transforming. Another thing that happens is that we learn about our shadow side. So we start strengthening our shadow side. So the functionalities that we don't have in, first, second, third, and fourth functionalities, we have the flip side of those in our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th functionalities. We start being able to work on those, and we find much more depth in life. And it's something that truly, for a really long time, I thought that I knew how it all worked because I was very familiar with the first 4 functionalities of my particular personality type, INFJ. But then I found out this whole other realm, and that was very interesting to me. So that's what I've been working in the last several years. And so we are able to strengthen that shadow side, and we are able to show up as a more rounded person with a lot more tools for our own healing and development journeys. Another thing that happens when we're with people who are dissimilar to ourselves is that our level of integration in our lives becomes exaggerated. So we keep evolving and integrating at a lot faster pace than we would normally. Now, I'm not saying that this is the ideal that everybody should try and integrate as fast as they can. That's not the point at all. The point is that the opportunities are there if we're in a space to do that. So sometimes we're in a healing space where we need to slow things down. Sometimes we're in a growth space where we need to speed things up. But if we are with people who are similar to ourselves, so we've self-established, and we are with people who are different to us, that gives us an opportunity to grow faster, then that's just incredible. Then we have that choice. So we're not just at the mercy of the world, if you like. Now, of course, there are challenges with being with people who are different to ourselves. 100%. This is no surprise to anyone. One of the challenges can be that we feel misunderstood or lonely. You know, there's not that sense of resonance. This person doesn't understand me at all. What am I going to do with this now? And that's completely understandable. And another thing that's really challenging or becomes challenging when we're in relationships with people who are different to ourselves is that if we are kind of trashing around the world, and if we're in an immature space ourselves and we enter a relationship, after the honeymoon period, we enter what's called a power struggle period. And in that power struggle, you and your partner, or you and your friend, or you and your business partner, or whomever, you have a struggle for power, because you both are very different, and you both feel marginalized. How you are is feeling marginalized, and you're trying to impose that upon the other person to see where you sit within that relationship and the hierarchy of the relationship. And it's a completely natural happenstance. Now, obviously, ideally, we wouldn't have a very long power struggle, so you can establish the boundaries quickly and with grace and with respect for each other's needs. So that would be the ideal thing. But the challenge is that if we are immature, or we're not aware, or if we are in a relationship with somebody who's at a different, say, spiral dynamics level than we are, we might enter into that power struggle that then doesn't grow the relationship, but it instead tries to establish who is right and whose way is the right way of being. And of course, there is no right way of being. So those are some of the challenges that come up with being somebody who's different to us, naturally different to us. I'm not saying that we don't enter into power struggles with people that are similar to us, because we absolutely do. It's a natural part of every relationship after the honeymoon period. But what I'm saying is that the likelihood of feeling marginalized and misunderstood, and thus entering into or perpetuating the power struggle within the relationship, can be higher. Okay, so there is that. So what I would say to all of this, to bring this together, hi Lisa, good to see you here. Good day to you too. Thanks for joining live. What I would say to you is that I've been in a relationship with a whole lot of people, different types of relationships, friendships, business partnerships, intimate relationships, and so on. And as a relationship expert, and particularly using the MBTI, being the certified MBTI practitioner, and using that tool in creating harmony, more harmony in relationships, I've just worked with thousands of people over the years, seeing what actually makes or breaks a good relationship has nothing to do with your MBTI type. And so obsessing about the MBTI in a relationship is like buying a car solely based on the color of the car, not the functionality of it, not how suitable the car actually is, not whether it fits your budget or not. So we don't want to focus on the type as much as we want to focus on three other particular aspects of the relationship. One, the maturity level, your maturity level, and the maturity level of your partner or the person you're getting into a relationship with. Is that a match? Are you at a same or similar level on the spiral dynamics model, the Graves model? Are you, is one of you at the red level defining boundaries currently, really working with that, warlording, and the other person, let's just say at the 6th level, or the green level, where you want everyone to do well, that might not be a match. And I'm not saying one spiral dynamics level is better than any other spiral dynamics level. I'm not saying that at all. And you need to study the model to understand that that's not the point of the model whatsoever. But is there a match on the level of maturity? You might have different levels of maturity when it comes to finances. You might have different levels of maturity when it comes to relating to one another. Are those a match? Are you willing to learn where the other person's coming from? Are they willing to learn where you're coming from in these different matters? So that's number one, level of maturity. Number two, shared values. Do you share values? Are the same things important to each other? So let's just say that I'm with a partner, and this is my perception of our relationship, and I'm not in any way speaking on my partner's behalf. My observation is that we both feel very strongly about social justice. Now, let's just say that I was with a partner where I'd be out there in the world trying to create equity every day, really being passionate about it. And I have a partner who says, why do you care so much about how other people are doing? Just focus on your own stuff. That's not going to be a match for me. So what are your top 5 values? Do you have shared values with that person? That's much, much more important than what type you are. Because imagine being with the person who's a similar type to you and you have that shared value. You can together really drive that social justice forward. Or if you're with a person who's completely different to you but has the same value, now you can bring differences to the table and really drive it from that space. So number 2 aspect is value, shared values. The third part that I look into when making any kind of predictions about any relationships working out is, how are the practicalities of the relationship matching out? So what are the hidden facets within you that you might not be aware of, they might be aware of? And what are the hidden facets behind your partners, or the person that you're partnering up with? What are their hidden facets that they may or may not be aware of? And can you bring those facets into light and embrace them and make the most of them? And how does that work in terms of practicalities of your life? So let's just say that you're an emergent person. Emergent is one of the JP facet pairs in the Myers-Briggs system. And let's just say that you're an emergent personality and your partner is not an emergent personality. And they want everything to be pre-planned and pre-decided. Your practicalities of your relationship can be different. So let's just say that you live out in the country and you're in lockdown and you need to go shopping. And the person who's emergent wants to go to the shop and find out what they might feel like eating that time. And they might want you to be exactly the same. Whereas you might be a person who's very organized, who's prearranged, who's going to go to the shop, one shop, get it done, get out, with a plan, all done for the week. Your menu is decided. If that's a point of contest or contention for you guys, there's going to be a challenge. And if you're not willing to see it from the other person's perspective, that's going to be a challenge. So that's a much bigger challenge than what MBTI type you are. If the practicalities of the relationship don't work, like for example, you bought a sports car and you live off grid and you have to drive on 4-wheel track to get to the place where you live, that's not a match. You're not going to get a sports car down that hill or up that hill or over that creek. So you need to understand what the practicalities of your situation are and how that day-to-day life actually looks like. So those 3 aspects of the relationship are much more important or it's not even a question of who cares what I think. As in, I'm not the author of everything. But what I will say is these are the indicators of what actually will have a successful relationship, or likelihood of having a successful relationship. Your level of maturity, is that a match? Your values, is that a match? Your practicalities of your inner wiring, is that a match, or can you make it work? So that's what I would say to a person who's asking, should I be with a person who's similar to me, or should I be with a person who's different to me? You don't actually know. Do they have the same values? Do they, are the practicalities workable? And do you have the same level of maturity? Now, if you want to know more about these points in relation to you, so in relation to, discovering your own values, looking at the hidden facets, as well as really getting to know your own level of maturity and how to match that. If you want to work on your own self in relationship with others, or let's just say that you're not in a relationship right now, but you want to, you keep having a similar experience in your life where you keep attracting a similar partner, and then it doesn't work out. If you want to work on that and make sure that that doesn't happen again, I really encourage you to enjoy this journey of self-discovery and join us on our personality decoding process, because that will give you, it'll show you the strengths, your relationship strengths, as well as the blind spots. So what don't you already know? What is actually causing you to be in the space that you're in right now? So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to today's session. And I shout out to those who attended live. Thank you so much. It's so great to be here with you, not just be some talking head. If you're catching a replay and will comment, put in a hashtag replay, because that way we'll get notifications of your comments and we're able to join the conversation with you, as well as answer any questions that you might have around this. So I hope you really enjoyed this video today. I would love to hear your thoughts. HC, again, thanks so much for this video, for this question. And I'd love to hear your main takeaways. I'd love to hear what you thought. Maybe you want to make your own post around this particular topic. What are your experiences around being with a person who's similar to you or different to you? And you'll probably find out that it's more about the level of maturity, the shared values and the shared practicalities of that relationship. So thank you so much for sharing this space with me. And thank you for being a part of this vision of ours, which is to create more compassionate and effective individuals and leadership in the world. It's such a pleasure to do this work. So thank you, and I hope you'll have a day full of wonder and have wonderful relationships and embrace those relationships today. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.